hello to all of you who are my soul family and joining me on this earth walk on planet Earth, beings of light who are children of our Creator. I want to welcome you back to my channel if you're a regular viewer. And if you're a first-time viewer, thank you for dropping in. I hope that you enjoy it and will stick around for more. This is the third in a series of 4 videos that have to do with another becoming a closer step to your soul self and why that matters. In the first video, we looked at all of the ways that our beliefs, behaviors, patterns, habits are interfering with us having a profoundly wonderful life. And we're on the path of finding ways to correct that so that we can begin manifesting or creating for ourselves the life that we truly want. In the second part, we looked at those patterns, habits, beliefs, and are looking at ways that we can correct or identify them, so that, because you have to be able to identify first what's interfering, where the resistance is to moving forward to having a better, more wonderful, profoundly wonderful life. And this part now today, and all the videos are going to be right around 20 minutes long, and so today's episode, if you will, has to do with cause and effect. Now we addressed that in the second video a little bit. The laws of physics that the human operates under is the cause and effect, is that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. In the laws, the spiritual laws, is that where energy flows and energy goes, and so whatever we're putting our attention or our mind on is what we're going to get back at us. And so we can't keep doing the same things over and over again, day after day, minute by minute, and expect to create any changes. So creating positive changes for ourselves, which is going to affect the whole of creation, actually, is a matter of addressing those patterns, habits, beliefs, and the things that we're doing within those. So if you followed the first couple of videos, that's the first thing you have to do, is begin to identify whose beliefs are you following. Are they your own? Are you following what your parents taught you, or teachers, or somebody that you thought sounded reasonable? And maybe you're at an age or a stage now where it just isn't resonating with you. It no longer holds the same kind of weight that it did. And so when we're wanting to create change, the first thing I want you to know was that what you think is what you're going to get. And so that's why you need to look at and address. We're going to address those things that you've put down, the habits that you've formed, and those things that are interfering with moving forward into more positive change. So the first thing I want to tell you, it isn't the first, we're at the third thing, is that, why change things? Why do you want to do something different? Well, first of all, you're a soul having this experience, and when you're unhappy in your life with whatever is coming back at you, that needs to change, because unless you change it, you're going to keep bumping up against it until you get so uncomfortable that you just can't stand it anymore, and then you're going to look at ways of doing that. So why don't we start looking at those things now? And you were designed as a being so that has that happen, so that you can become uncomfortable. And I'm going to tell you that change can be very uncomfortable. If you keep bumping up against something that is unwanted, then we've got to look at ways of getting you out of that discomfort. And it means going in a new direction. And so being uncomfortable means you need to have a motivation. So what is it that you want to create for yourself? And that was the very beginning of part 1. By now you should have an idea of one or two, maybe 3 things. I'm getting back in the saddle here, and it's proving to be a bit of a readjustment getting back to these. So sorry about that. Knowing what you want and what your desires are perfectly okay. You're designed to want things. By wanting things, you create. When you get what you want, it may be unwanted after all, you get to look at closely, what you really do want, because now you've identified what you don't want. I was not real clear about a marriage, and I always, was raised that was just something you did, and you had children, and you were a wonderful homemaker. But I was also of the era that you worked and helped to generate some income. I never imagined that it would be full-time pretty much all of my life. Anyhow, changing that meant I had to define the things within that relationship that were not to my liking, that didn't suit my needs, and that were really unfulfilling or not satisfying. So that's what I want you to think about, because your thoughts and feelings truly matter. When we want to create something, having the thought is the first element to creating it. Having the feeling of what that would feel like. What would it feel like to me to have a partner who is loving and kind and caring and giving, and a real partner where it's not everything falls on one or the other, and certainly give and take and sharing. So that's what I'm referencing, and those may be things that you can help identify for yourself, because there's every topic that you can imagine. We just touched on relationships. It could be in your home. It could be wanting a different style of home, or that you are beginning to shift your diet to a more organically charged and healthier diet. I mean, there's everything that you can imagine. Your work, your boss, your relationship with friends, and sometimes those you need to move away from, people who are not healthy or treat you unfairly or without respect, but you don't feel like you can create the break. So these are things that are challenging to us, and there's resistance to our moving forward. So you have to first of all identify a new direction. And when we identify a new direction, it means we're going to be uncomfortable unless you have a motivation. Now, when I say unless, likely you're going to be uncomfortable when you start and try something new, because we're not accustomed to it. It isn't part of our pattern, habits, and behaviors, and you're breaking free from those. You've been corralled, let's say, and the gate is open. You are opening the gate, and now you can step outside and say, what direction do I want to go in? When you choose a new direction, a motivation is required. And so having a new awareness of what is unwanted is helping you to forge a new path, steer a new course, basically. So I've been divorced, and what I recognized was that this was not a suitable relationship. And there were many, many reasons, but the top ones really were, in fact, I remember asking him when I served him with the divorce papers, and he said, now this is not a pleasant topic, I'm not trying to make light of it. He asked me, why? And I said, because your concept of a family is simply your presence in this room. And he looked at me and thought for a minute, and he said, well, yeah, what I realized too late, we were already married, was that he had I'm from a loving, caring, active, very social, large Italian family, lots of chaos, lots of fun chaos, and lots of activities. And he simply wasn't. He had, and along with discovering later, there was an element of something else in there, but it just was not going to work long term. And for me, being unsatisfied and unfulfilled was not making my heart sing. And that's the next thing I want you to look at. When you're looking at what you really want, you have to understand not only the thought that you're having about the new thing, but what would that feel like when you're looking for a new partner. In that particular case, I didn't really want one, and I didn't have one for 10 or 12 years. But what you need to do is identify, how do you want to feel when somebody is in the kitchen working with you? Does that work for you, or does it not? For me, it would have worked as long as it was a harmonious thing. Can you pay the bills together? Can you talk about the finances and not get into arguments over it? The spending habits of people or whatever. There has to be a way to, set a budget, and there are sensitive topics. And so, but having a partner, companion, marriage, whatever it is, a relationship in which those things may be difficult, but you don't run away from each other. You may give each other a timeout, but because you'll bump up against stuff until it's resolved. So the motivation brings you a new awareness of what is not wanted within whatever it is you want. And so avoiding the words don't, won't, can't, use words like I want and can imagine myself sharing, holding hands on the beach, having him open the door for me in the case of male, female, or that, and that, I'm an equal partner and we feel very comfortable in silence together, having coffee in the morning or tea or water or whatever it is, and so on. So your motivation has to include what you're feeling, what it would feel like to have more money, have a compatible, harmonious, loving relationship. Whatever the words are, write those down for whatever the topic or aspect of it is. Change becomes a challenge when there is no motivation. Make it clear to yourself what you're motivated by. It's okay to remember where you come from. Don't dwell in it. Living in the past means that you're dragging the past with you into your present. You cannot live fully in the present, and it does take a little adjusting to make that shift into what it is today. You have to have an intention to correct a misbehavior, which is, a pattern, a habit, or a belief. You have to have that intention. And so write down what it is you intend to correct. We'll move away from the word change. What you intend to correct in those patterns. What the feeling is that you want to have from it. For me, for instance, more money is about the freedom that it gives you to write those checks, to buy what you want, to do for others, to not be held under the constraints of someone else. It is all about freedom and joy and how much fun you can have. Money is not something to be despised or feared. Money is energy, like everything else is. It is energy, and it should flow through you. Don't covet it. So whatever the pattern, habit, or belief, write it down that you want to change, and include the feelings that you will have, positive feelings that you will have when you have it. And now, you may feel temporary that these things, be wildly imaginative here. Why place constraints on yourself? Because constraints will limit wherever you're headed. If you want to create a correction or change, watch yourself and notice whether you're limiting yourself, limiting the changes that you want, because that's also coming from a place of some kind of a belief that you have that may not be serving you anymore. Realize that there's power and strength in your ability to be creative, to be free-flowing with your desires and thoughts. When you write something down on paper and you put the feeling behind it, you have started that manifestation. You're aiming to feel good, this satisfied, having a fulfilling experience, and it can be quite small. If you want more money and you stop buying the extra things at the grocery store, you're going to have a little extra money, and that money can go in a jar. And if what you want is a vacation down the road, the more you begin saving and setting aside those nickels, dimes, quarters, and dollars, the sooner you'll be on the road and doing some of the things you want to do. And so, realizing what is false, where your thoughts, feelings, beliefs are not yours. You get to create the ones you want, and that's what you're doing here. So if you're following along with me, you need to remember a couple of things. That this is a planet of cause and effect. That's physics. That for every cause, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And what we think in the spiritual laws is what we're getting. It's coming back at us. So it's the same thing. Those two can be quite harmonious. So by going to your creative self, writing down how you want it to feel, to be, what it would be like to walk in the door and have someone greet you with a big smile on their face, happy to see you, and you them. I mean, it's you're looking for having a mutually satisfactory, harmonious thing going on there, whether it's at work or home, in the neighborhood or whatever. And there's challenges to that if you've had lots of difficulty. But the first thing is identifying this is difficult, but the change is going to remove the but. This may be difficult. The change is only going to occur when you get uncomfortable creating something new. Try it for a week. We want you to get to your authentic soul self, which is emerging of what your soul has to tell you, and that is your creative aspect. And then because this carbon-based unit has to deal with all of the physical aspects of this world and paying the rent and things that you bump up against. So pay attention to what's going on in your life. And when I come back, hopefully you'll have made a couple of small changes that have set you on the path of manifesting really wonderful things in your life. And so look back on the other 2 videos. They've all been within a week, 10 days or so. And I want to thank you for being here. Be sure and give me comments and let me know how you're doing on this journey. We're going to keep it up. I'm not by any stretch of the imagination done. These are the more specific you can be and have some comments for me, then the easier my job gets in knowing what you'd like some help with. And I am here to help you. That's my sole purpose on this planet. My service is to help you in whatever way I can. And hopefully we're integrating the soul that has right there all the time, nudging you in a positive direction. So thank you for being here. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, make comments, and there is extra information if you want to know more about me. My website and Facebook pages are listed, and I will see you in the next video. I love you this much. Take care, be well, and I'll see you the next time.